Supplier Squad, welcome back to my channel and to an explained video. Now, it's been a minute since I made this type of video, but I feel like it's necessary. I'm sure you guys have been hearing about like Billboard versus BTS, and so I'm gonna try to do my best to simplify things and explain it to you guys clearly. This Billboard versus BTS thing has been ongoing for many years now, and this shouldn't be something only ARMYs should be concerned about. I feel like other people need to realize that this whole thing is concerning. Before I get into the incident that happened recently with Jimin's song Like Crazy and Billboard, let me explain to you guys what the Billboard Hot 100 chart is and how it's calculated. Billboard Hot 100 is a chart that ranks the week's most popular songs across all genres in the United States. It's ranked by radio airplay audience impressions, streaming activity from digital music sources, and sales data. So I'll be reading off my notes just so I don't say anything wrong, but we're gonna go ahead and start with the radio airplay audience impressions. It's a calculation of the number of times a song is played per week and the audience size of the station playing the tune. Unfortunately, how many spins a song gets is usually determined by payola. What is payola? It's when commercial radio stations are paid to play a song without the station disclosing the payment. It's an illegal practice, but companies go through loopholes to get this done. So, for example, there was an article that was released by Rolling Stones saying they obtained more than 2,500 text messages involving a senior vice president of radio promotion from a record label and an independent radio promoter who also works with a number of stations. And here are just a few of their messages. Can we take off Panic till Sunday? Help Marshmello go #1. Can you make sure Dean Lewis doesn't get killed? We did a promo to move up last week. It's down -15. Make sure we kill Lovely the band till Sad. 5 Seconds of Summer, 4 spins away from #1. We already did that promo and they covered. Rolling Stone also said that it's common for record labels to hire third-party independent promoters to help them push their song to radio, which is why you guys hear the same songs over and over and over again. And when a label was unwilling to pay, a text from Zach warned the radio station not to take directions from the record company. Similarly, as Billie Joe Armstrong's cover of I Think We're Alone Now was climbing the radio charts in May, Zapp intervened at the radio station because playing the song was not paying bills. The promoter's text included the instruction, Billie Joe needs to go down. So this makes you realize a lot of major radio stations are not playing songs due to popularity and demand by the general public, but by how much an artist company is willing to pay.
Every time we have discussions about it, like there's a price on urban radio, there's a price on pop radio, and there's a price on what are the alternative radios called?
EDM.
Rhythm.
Pop, crossover, man.
And people don't understand. And literally, as independent artists, it's like $60K for urban, 160 for pop, and like 25 right now.
That's
for
minimal.
And it's not the same type of payola that happened when everybody got busted for it, when the program directors were collecting it, because now that's illegal. But it's like it's through an independent party, or it's usually somebody that worked for one of the majors that have now been fired or left, and then they hustle these records influentially to the radio. And if you have the right money and backing, you can do it, and then you can eliminate all other sources. And you know what? That's where the money is. Honest, that's where music is going, because as an artist nowadays, the only thing that we care about and nowadays is selling a tour, because that's the only place we make real money. Even Beyonce and Drake and even the biggest of the best that are the top 6 that get played anymore, they even have problems selling the numbers that they used to. Nobody sells like that anymore. Period. It's so interesting how all of that then shapes the music that we make. Like even the liberties Shannon and I take with the music that we make versus what we used to do with Puff and how things used to be structured.
That sounds totally different. Totally different. And it does shape, like when you go into making a studio, making a song, if you could, you're thinking a lot of times. Will this get played?
How many BPMs?
Exactly.
It's always BPMs. What are the top 5 songs and what are the BPMs? Nowadays, it's even crazier. Back in the day when you looked at what was being played, at least it was all around the same thing. Nowadays, you can look at the lineup of the top songs being played on radio, top 10, and they're so different, and it's all payola.
All payola.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not claiming that all radio stations are doing this, but there are a lot of major radio stations doing that. So they honestly don't care if artists like BTS are selling records around the world. If they aren't paying, radio is not supporting. And it's crazy to me how people are brainwashed into thinking payola is organic success versus fan bases streaming and using their hard-earned money to buy their artists' tracks. Like, what's organic now? But also, a lot more people nowadays are listening to streaming platforms instead of the radio. I personally listen to Spotify and YouTube Music. I don't know about you guys, but this leads me to the next topic, streaming activity. It's amazing how we have easier access to music and we could listen to any music we want, anytime we want. I love it. It's beautiful. But that doesn't mean these platforms are also finding ways to capitalize. Now, they're companies, so it's understandable how they have to have paid ads and subscriptions. So paid subscription streams represent a full point value per play, ad-supported streams represent 2/3 point value per play, and programmed streams represent 1/2 point per play. And this encourages fans to pay for subscriptions. Understandable. But what a lot of people might not know is the term playlisting. Playlisting describes the songs being added to official playlists on Spotify. The more people are subscribed to a playlist, the more streams and monthly listeners a song will get, and the lower the filtering rate is. So this basically means that once a song is added to a playlist, it will perform better on Spotify and it will perform better on charts. But similar to radio stations, companies also pay to have their songs added to these playlists. This is why there are a lot of artists who get millions and millions of streams and spins, but they can't sell out stadiums or even arenas. And touring is such an important key to artists because it's the best way for them to make money and is nearly guaranteed to make them more than streaming and merch sales. You'd think these artists would get so much from streams, but the sad thing is that they aren't getting paid enough actually. They're losing money because they're having to pay for these spins and playlists. So for example, Spotify pays artists between 0.003 to 0.005 per stream on average. And there are a lot of artists who have come out and complained about this. But other than playlists, they also just don't play fair. So you would think these streaming platforms would play fair, but they're part of this whole ecosystem, you guys. Actually, recently, Post Malone's father have sided with Jimin in regards to an issue going on Spotify. So usually Spotify links all of the versions of the same song and combines their streams, and that's how it is counted towards the charts, but that's not happening with Jimin's song. Anyway, that's one of the few things that's happening right now to Jimin's like crazy song. We'll get into more of that later on. So what is Billboard's current Hot 100 formula? It's mostly kept as a trade secret. Now we have an idea what the point system may be like, but honestly, it just feels like they're changing it to whatever they see fit. As of May 15, 2020, and this is like the current one that we use, but its sales is 5 points, paid streams is 1,250, free streams is 1,875, programmed streams is 2,500, and radio is 6,000. I don't know if you guys noticed the difference between sales and radio. Which leads me to my next topic, sales. The samples include not only music stores and the music departments of electronics and department stores, but also direct-to-consumer transactions and internet sales, both physical album sales via internet and ones bought via digital downloads. A limited array of verifiable sales from concert venues is also tabulated. All sales charts use the entire Luminant panel. So that's what they say. That's how they calculate sales data. And it leads me to, this question that a lot of people have been asking us. Why do you mass buy their albums and songs like bots? Remember the formula for the Hot 100 that I gave you guys? Imagine, no, not even imagine, this is real life. If an artist is not getting the radio support they need, they're literally missing a third of their calculated numbers. And this is the reason why fans focus on sales and streams as well. Even though we're getting screwed over with streams at the moment, like I just mentioned with Spotify, but now we're getting screwed over with sales, which I'll go over in a bit. There are many reasons as to why we've focused on sales. We actually have a history as to what led us to focus on sales, which I'll go over. But Dr. Omarez explained beautifully the reason why not only ARMYs, but other fans should support their artists through sales. And this clip was taken from her video called Billboard Corrupt, BTS ARMY Billboard Jimin, How Billboard is Slowly Destroying Music. You guys should check out her full video. Link is down in my description box, but here's the clip.
Buying a song allows an artist to have a creative freedom. It allows them to be independent of TikTok trends and the need for virality. It allows them to make a song that's longer than 3 minutes. It allows them to talk about the things that are important to them. It allows them to be genuine and to do the art that they want to make. That's why you like them as an artist, right? That's why you said I'm a fan of this group. You like the work they do. If you don't support it, if you don't invest in it, then you're subjecting them to be dependent on those labels. And we have seen artists say that they can't put out an album because first they need to make it song viral on TikTok. And if you love music, then I don't understand how that's not a problem for you. I imagine a future where all the songs sounds the same. There's no artistry left in it. And we won't have songs like Bohemian Rhapsody. And we won't have Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And we won't have November Rain. We won't have those amazing opera of songs that tell a story and that make us emotional and make us feel connected. All we'll have with bops, and that's great and that's fun, but it's not all I want in music. And I want an artist to be able to make a living from their art. I don't want them to have to sell a t-shirt or do a commercial in order to make a living and keep doing the art that they want. Just so you have an example of how big this situation is, Coldplay, one of the biggest groups in the world, with over 20 years of success, almost didn't go on their world tour because of money issues. That's how bad that problem is. And if an artist makes their money from the t-shirt they sell at a concert and they can't do a concert, then how are they supposed to stay true to their craft? Forget BTS for a second, but if you like music and you can afford it, then please buy it. And the reason to buy it multiple times is for those people who can't afford it. It's payment for all the many, many hours that they have spent and poured into their art. It's for the hours upon hours they spend in studios perfecting that song for you.
Like I've mentioned, the situation between Billboard and BTS has been happening for so many years now. And Dr. Omarez goes over the timeline with more details, but for the purpose of this video and trying to make it a lot shorter, I'm gonna do my best to summarize it all. Years back, ARMYs realized the importance of radio. And so that's when we started requesting. We would ask our local stations to play BTS. We'd also send them cupcakes, flowers, gifts. We would create projects together and then coordinated times of requests. So this is when ARMY started to become even more coordinated, which is really cool. But trust me when I say we did it all. And don't get me wrong, there were some DJs who were very kind enough to play BTS. But then we started noticing something. A lot of major radio stations were ignoring us. I even have this tweet back in 2017. I was like, something is going on. There is no way ARMYs are not the ones requesting the most. And this is when I personally come to find out that majority have fixed playlists and that they come from corporate owners, which cannot be changed nor altered. So this whole like send in your request thing, yeah. But there is a rule of thumb, you guys. There are smaller radio stations that are most likely to play requests. But then these DJs came back around and started telling us that we weren't encouraging them enough to play BTS. I mean, I don't know what else they needed other than the gifts. We were really nice to them, you guys. Trust me when I say that. But what do they mean by we're not encouraging them enough? I mean, it was already getting really frustrating. And it was even more frustrating to see other fans not having to do the same thing we were doing. They were just getting their songs played. But then when we started requesting too much and encouraging too much, this is the response we would get.
Through whatever it is, you can reach us 24 hours a day. Go to the iHeartRadio app, hit the microphone, and then leave a comment. Now, we're going to find out what y'all been saying. I guarantee it's going to be a kid in there that's left unsupervised and is going to say something.
Good, because otherwise it's a bunch of BTS nerds talking about playing left and right.
Careful.
I don't care.
If you're one of those, listen, you're not doing your group a service by doing that. It's very annoying to us because we have to clean all of that stuff out. And more than anything, it's like, hey, how about that song? No, because your fans have angered a lot of radio stations.
I'm going to go out of my way to not play it.
I'm telling you, it's a bit overboard. It really is.
Yeah. Even when I was in radio, when I would like run boards for Kiss FM or something, I remember seeing tweets that were like, play Mic Drop by BTS, Steve Aoki, Mic Drop, Mic Drop, Mic Drop. So it's been a thing for years. When I started to realize, how much of an impact that these guys had in general, and then how many times it was getting streamed.
Yeah.
Like people.
Oh yeah, you can't deny it.
No, you can't deny it. And I would like ask people in radio, like my peers and my co-hosts and everything, like, hey guys, why aren't we playing BTS? And they'd be like, all their fans are bots. Mm-hmm. And I remember really? Because they've been being requested like on Twitter and everything for literally 3 years now.
Yeah.
So then we realized, okay, maybe radio isn't the way. But we thought things were finally changing for the better. In August 2020, before the release of Dynamite, Columbia Records sent promo tour buses across the US to promote Dynamite to key radio programmers and DJs. So they would have these tour buses go to these DJs and radio programmers, play the music ahead of time and say, hey, can you put this on rotation? So then in September 2020, BTS achieved their first #1 on the Hot 100 with their song, Dynamite. This isn't their first time on the charts though. They've charted multiple times on the Hot 100 since DNA. And before Dynamite, On peaked at #4. And this was done with no radio support. So they've been climbing up the charts, you guys. This was their first all-English song. And they received more than 160,000 plays in the 11 months since Dynamite's release. Via sound charts, here's a visualization of BTS's radio play, and you can see where Dynamite was released. It's a huge spike. So we were getting the radio play, and ARMYs continued to purchase the track, which was able to help Dynamite stay on the chart for a very long time. In October 2020, BTS achieved their second #1 with Savage Love. And so during this time, we honestly thought, wow, we're finally getting radio stations to play BTS, and they have their support. Not until BTS's song Life Goes On was released in November 2020. They made history when they debuted at number 1 on the Hot 100 with a song primarily sung in Korean. Because it was in Korean, we made sure to focus on sales, just in case. And I'm glad we did that because I quote from Forbes, "A largely Korean language song debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with virtually no radio play, no remixes, and no bundles. The song's stratospheric debut offers unimpeachable proof of BTS's popularity and the dedication of their fans." Despite receiving virtually no radio play, Life Goes On still topped the singles chart, largely thanks to its robust sales. And I quote from Vox, "Life Goes On, which has predominantly Korean lyrics, tumbled to number 28 in its second week and never managed to make it onto any US radio chart. According to Billboard, only one radio station in the country played Life Goes On enough that it reached double digits, where it was heard a mere 13 times, you guys. This was solidifying and highlighting the importance of sales. This is when we knew sales was what we needed to shift our focus onto. And just know that it is extremely difficult to debut a song at number 1. And Life Goes On at that time was only the 46th single to achieve that since the chart was created back in 1958. Now it's July 2021. Butter and Permission to Dance debuted at number 1 on the Hot 100, and they held number 1 for 11 consecutive weeks. Guys, that's insane. And at this time, they were the first and second top selling songs of the week. The following month of August 2021, Billboard announced that BTS would be returning to Billboard magazine's cover. And at first we were super excited about this. This is awesome. Until we saw the questions that were being asked during the interview. There were questions that appeared to overshadow and downplay BTS's success. The Billboard article referred to other fan bases' claims of BTS's chart manipulation. Then the interviewer proceeded to ask BTS's leader, RM, about his thoughts on the same accusation. And I quote, "These efforts have buoyed the group's singles as they have sailed to the top of the charts despite BTS's weaker streaming numbers and radio airplay than some of its pop's contemporaries. It's a fair question," says RM, of allegations that ARMY's work amounts to chart manipulation. But if there is a conversation inside Billboard about what being number 1 should represent, then it's up to them to change the rules and make streaming weigh more on the ranking. Slamming us or our fans for getting number 1 with physical sales and downloads, I don't know if that's right. It just feels like we're easy targets because we're a boy band, a K-pop act, and we have this high fan loyalty. So this is what RM said. And when asked if HYBE itself organizes fans in any chart manipulation, Shin Young-jae, president of BTS's label Big Hit Music, answers with a chuckle. "Wouldn't it be nice if we actually had the ability to mastermind such a thing?" he says. "I get that there are market developments related to BTS that are head scratchers for some people, but I don't believe the US market is one that can be handily topped by downloads alone. We think the song's impact has shown in many ways, and we are proud of that achievement." So now we have media trying to convince everyone that it's wrong for fans to buy music. They write about remixes and discounts when other Western artists have also done the same thing, but also to the extreme, such as bundling concert tickets, bundling it with merch, or even food. Yet when fans of BTS buy their music, it's all of a sudden chart manipulation. In October 2021, Coldplay and BTS achieved yet another number 1 debut with their song My Universe. It's now January 2022. And as Namjoon said, it's up to Billboard to change the rules. And guess what? Billboard really did change the rules. Originally, a fan could buy a song 4 times per week, but this was changed. Now only 1 digital sale will be counted per customer per week for songs and albums. Bulk purchases of 2 or more will not be counted. At the same time, they also increased the percentage of radio play. And so they reduced sales and increased the power of radio. August 15, BTS, Benny Blanco, and Snoop Dogg's song Bad Decisions get number 10 on Hot 100. Not bad following, the rule change. And October 31, BTS is named as the artist with the most number 1 on the Hot 100 this decade. November 3 comes around. Billboard confirmed they will now use media-based radio airplay data for their charts. What does this mean? This means more payola, you guys. Making Hot 100 chart even more focused on artists that they choose. Actually, they should just get rid of the other, like sales and streaming, if radio is the main focus at this point. Anyways, but regardless of that, ARMYs have continued to adapt. So on April 3, 2023, Jimin achieved number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with Like Crazy. He debuted at number 1, you guys. Jimin became the first South Korean solo artist to top the chart, and it was already difficult enough to get on the Hot 100, especially for Asian singers who sing non-English songs. And I quote, "Spending your hard-earned money on a song seems like a more dignified way of boosting a song's chart placement than record labels paying radio stations thousands of dollars to play their artists." And when other people complain by saying, quality of song doesn't matter when it comes to charting, just the size of a fan base of an artist. Well, then how should artists chart? Should artists have to rely on their company's payola rather than their fans' support? And when people talk about the general public, what general public? Are fans not part of the general public? Because general public literally means all the people of an area, country, etc. It's funny because in the definition, they also mention like Ticketmaster sales to the general public. And guess who buys them? Fans. We are the consumers. And if we think an artist is worth investing in, then that says so much about this artist. Casual radio listeners won't be the ones buying concert tickets and filling up those seats. Fans will. They won't be buying and streaming the artist's albums. Fans will. So why degrade fan bases when they are literally an artist's lifeline? Days before the next announcement for the Hot 100, numbers were being predicted as always. So Hits Daily Double reported 22,500, which is roughly 225,000 sales. Talk of the Charts projected 234,000 for Jimin. And the final official numbers were 241,000 sales. So pretty close and accurate numbers. Now for the second week, Talk of the Charts was projecting it to be 115,000. Hits Daily Double reported the numbers 12,020, which is roughly 120,000 sales. But the final numbers on April 10 for the Hot 100, Forbes announced that the sales total was less than 14,800, according to Billboard data provider Luminate Data. Where did the rest of the 100,000 go? Did it just vanish? Like, were there rules implemented in the middle of tracking week that we weren't aware of? This type of situation was just unheard of. And Jimin was nowhere to be found on the top 10. It dropped down to number 45, making it the biggest fall from number 1 in Hot 100 history. Interesting fact, Luminate is owned by PMRC, a joint venture between Eldridge Industries, publisher of Billboard, and Penske Media Corporation, which also, guess what, publishes for Billboard. Considering Like Crazy sold more than 241,000 copies last week, this significant drop in sales within the second week by a matter of 100,000 copies is impossible, since Like Crazy is still number 1 on digital song sales and top-selling songs for the second week. Things are not adding up. Like Crazy didn't free fall from the charts, it was pushed off the charts. First of all, how was this even filtered? Fans use their hard-earned money to buy this track. So who decides on what is eligible and what is not eligible? Like, where is the transparency in all this? If it was a sudden rule change, then why are the other artists on the charts not affected at all? As of this recording, Billboard still has not released a statement in regards to this whole situation. Large Western media outlets continue to stay silent, but when they do create articles, they blame it on the decline in sales, not the fact that a huge chunk of sales went missing. You may be asking, why is this happening to BTS? And after watching this whole video, I'm sure you have an idea as to why. Picture this, a perfect ecosystem for people who have money and radio stations who have power. All of a sudden, a foreign group comes in, foreign artists come in and make a huge impact without using their ecosystem and payola. They don't want people to realize that fans have the power to support their artists without radio stations, without the so-called general public. It's not even general public, but that's the reason why they continue to change the rules. Look at the difference between impact of sales and the impact of radio stations. How can they not make it even more obvious? They don't want money going directly to these artists, but to money and power-hungry people.
Since we're like aliens to the music industry for America, so we don't know if there's a place for us or not.
I know this is all super frustrating to hear, but I want to make something clear. Even through all this, BTS and ARMY were able to achieve the unachievable, to create history, to move mountains. And so if we weren't this persistent, if we just gave up and said, this is so frustrating, this is impossible, we wouldn't be able to get this far. And so I want this to also be an encouraging video to show that we did make a huge impact. And because of all this, BTS are able to continue to become artists who could freely express their art, their music. They can do whatever they want to do because they know armies will be right behind them. We were able to create a space for them to express freely, and I want to thank armies for that. It's sad to know that there are artists out there who can't do the same and are not able to do the same. And this broken gatekeeping system is keeping them from doing that. This is why it's important for us fans to continue doing what we do. And for other fans to realize that they're giving this broken system even more power by brainwashing themselves into thinking that we shouldn't be buying artists' music and that buying artists' music is chart manipulation. But then payola is perfectly fine. People need to realize that. Fans of other artists need to realize that. I hope this video was able to help you guys understand this a bit more. I'm sorry if it's longer than expected, but I appreciate you guys listening. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to click that like button and also join the Flare Squad by subscribing, you guys. Thanks so much for watching.